what I like to do, anybody who asks about the new book, Sorrowful Mysteries, I said, look, I'm going to give you the first two chapters, real tight, real quick, make it easy. The first chapter, you have a professor sitting at his desk, Xavier University in New Orleans, and he never answers his office phone, but this one day, it's late at night, the phone starts to ring, and he feels different about it, so he picks it up. There's a caller on the other end who says, I understand that you're an expert on the Templar Knights. And the guy says, yeah, I am. And he says, yeah, I also understand that you're an expert on the treasure at Oak Island. And the guy goes, oh, God, not another treasure hunter. And he goes, wait a minute, just bear with me for a minute. He says, given your background, the guy was a former priest. He left the priesthood to get married. Given your background, I also assume that you're an expert on the Sorrowful Mysteries. And the guy says, well, I don't know about an expert, but yes, I know them well. He says, then, as you know, the Sorrowful Mysteries are all related to the crucifixion of Jesus, and everything in those mysteries has been found except one thing. So now the professor, who's an art historian, but historian first, starts going through every item and what church it's in and where it's positioned. At the end, he goes, what did I miss? And the caller said, the whip used to scourge Christ has never been found. Then he goes on to say, let's assume that a repentant pawn of Caesar's takes this whip, hides it in the desert, keeps it hidden for years, transferring it over to people, a whole lineage, and eventually it's turned over to the Templar Knights for safekeeping. And then let's further assume that it ended up with the treasure at the Temple of Jerusalem, which is now believed to be buried at Oak Island in Nova Scotia, Canada. And the professor says, now you have my attention. And that's the first chapter in a nutshell. The second chapter, we have an emergency meeting of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and I have it being held right here in Richmond, Virginia at the cathedral. And the reason that they're meeting is because 20 priests across the United States have died. It all appeared to be coincidental and natural causes until the head of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops receives a letter, and in the letter, they have a picture of each of the priests the day before they died and a description of how each one was going to die. So they're meeting because now at the end of the letter it said, you cannot go to the police, you cannot go to the press, and you have to petition the Pope to allow priests to get married. That's all it says. So while they're meeting, they hear footsteps coming in, and they look back, and there's this guy that's 6'8". He's dressed in all black. He has a black leather duster down to his ankles. His hair, curly, wavy type hair down to the middle of his back. He's got on sunglasses, and it's at night. So he walks up, takes the podium, introduces himself, and he says that every country that comes under attack has the means to defend themselves. And the Vatican, as you know, is a separate country. So what he says is, as for the Vatican, I am that means. So he points himself out as being a badass right there, which he is. And so they go into questioning him, and he starts answering. He gave his name. The guy, one of the bishops says, "You're Palestinian?" He goes, "You're my dear bishop. Jesus was Palestinian." And so he goes on with everything. He tells him, as he's walking away, I suggest that you lock the doors. Now the doors were locked when he came in. Nobody knows how he got there or got out, but that's how it operates. So that's how the book really starts out, and all of that develops into this whole thriller surrounding, those two items. And you find that it's a very possible link in there at some point.